Hey everyone, welcome to the very first official episode of Checkpoint Chat. You might have heard our cool, neat little trailer earlier this week, but now we're recording for real. This is what a real episode is going to sound like. Next to me, I've got Matthew Figuera.
Hello. Hopefully an episode that's not going to be burnt to the ground by accident with poor audio issues. So I'm hoping with our prequel episode, I like to call it that, we've just ironed out all those little hiccups. I mean, obviously still learning curve, a lot of little optimizations here and there, but we at least can get the show out, which is like half the battle. So
we recorded a bunch last week and it just didn't work out that well. But I think the short little intro we had came out pretty nicely. So yeah, I'm excited to not have to throw in an hour and a half discussion again. Yes. So I think we don't really have like a specific format that the show is going to follow. I think as the weeks go on, we'll be playing different games. So we'll want to talk about specific games and we can touch on things like the news if something really important comes up. Cool. But right now, I know that you're playing a lot of The Witcher 3.
I am.
And considering how old The Witcher 3 is, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on what it feels like to play. I think it's like 2 or 3 years after it launched. 3 years after it launched.
It's going on 3 years.
Let's say. And how it just compares to, 3 years is a long time in gaming, so a lot of things change. Like, does it hold up?
I believe so. I'm very tired today because I played it till 1:30 this morning and then got up to run. Not the smartest thing, but I think it definitely holds up. I've passed with every game, you sort of have a teething stage, I call it, where you're still learning the systems and you're getting into it. And now everything's clicked. So every time I do get around to playing, there's just something that takes up all my time, whether it's a main quest, a side quest, or just going to points of interest. So yeah, I'm quite invested. I'm only about, let's say, 18 hours in now, maybe 16 to 18 or so.
You're outside of White Orchard, right?
So I've passed the tutorial area, if you want to call it that. I'm in the next main area, but you were telling me earlier that the area after that is just really opens the game up more.
So I think you said you were around the point, you're busy following the Red Baron quest, which I still think is the best quest in the game, the best through line in the game. And you still haven't visited areas like Novigrad, which are like the main city in the world of The Witcher, and then you still have to go to the Isles of Skellige and stuff like that. I think it's Skellige.
Yeah, so that's kind of terrifying because as it is, the game's already so big for me. I mean,
it just grows.
If I pull open my map, there's still, I don't know, I've probably covered, let's say, 30% of that particular area.
So Novigrad kind of makes up that area that you're kind of in now. But the islands are completely separate. They're not on your map at the moment. So it grows. Yes,
oh, man.
It grows. But I'm really keen to see you first finally play this and enjoying your time a lot with the game. Are you coming to grips with the combat a little bit? I know that's something I didn't really particularly pick up on that nicely on, but I like the magic system.
I think, the combat, I know you mentioned last time that you felt it maybe was a little bit clunky, or I don't know if that was your exact terminology, but it's something that didn't feel right for you. I don't have any issues with it. It works fine for me. I do enjoy, I'm getting to the point now where you sort of have to start making uses of, just to give you some context, I was playing on, normal difficulty, I suppose I could call it that. But I've upped it now based on following the recommendation of a colleague saying, no, just like turn up the difficulty and maybe enjoy the game a bit more. So I have to be a little bit more serious with my combat now, and not just rushing in like I can kill this thing, even if I haven't oiled my sword or I'm not using magic, I'll just chip away at it. But I think the combat's fun. I'm still enjoying it. I do get what you mean with the clunkiness in a sense, because sometimes when you dodge, it's like I should have taken damage, but because I timed it right, there's just that window where you don't take damage. But I suppose if they took that away, then you'd probably never win a fight, because some of the beasts you fight are just way bigger than you, and they've got these wide arcing movements that you realistically wouldn't avoid.
I think the combat works nicely when you're fighting things almost one-on-one. But I know there's a very early part which still, it sticks with me as probably my worst memory of The Witcher 3, where you've just exited White Orchard and you're exploring the I don't even know what that area is called anymore. That first like main area, and you come across like a lake of neckers. And I think
there's just lots of them.
There's lots of them, and they're way too powerful. But like the combat makes you think that you can take them on, but then like because they just rush you, it's just like it sticks with me as just a bad experience. And I do agree with whoever told you to increase the difficulty, because if you don't, it kind of takes away that element of preparation. You never have to oil your swords. You never have to prepare potions ahead of time, which is a really big part of The Witcher and feeling like Geralt. You know, it's something that The Witcher 2, I think, emphasized a lot better in that regard.
Yeah. So before I upped the difficulty, like I said, it really was. I mean, I knew that I'm fighting this creature. I should therefore use this oil and maybe have this bomb, but it was like, I don't have the material, so I'm not even going to bother because I can kill it anyway. You know, just the way the difficulty was. And I mean, obviously there's other variables play a part, like your level and their level and whatnot. But long story short, I've upped the difficulty, and now I have to sit and be like, okay, I'm fighting, as an example, a werewolf. I do need to oil my sword. I need to have, I think it's a moonshine potion or something along those lines.
Somewhere, I can't remember.
Just you know, to be on sort of a level playing field, so I don't just die.
Yeah, I think the only potion I distinctly remember is cat. That can make you see in the dark, just because it makes your eyes look so creepy and so weird. It's so cool.
Oh man, I can actually craft that. I just haven't. So I haven't.
The fact that it's called cat is just great. I really love that. In terms of the story, are you kind of invested more in like the personal stories of the people you're running into, or the overarching narrative with Ciri or Cerelia and the king? You know,
I think The Witcher. So before I play the game, one thing that always stood out to me is the fact that everyone's like, it's not just. I mean, I mentioned this last time. It's not just you go to a villager and they're like, I've lost 10 chickens. Please go find my 10 chickens. You know.
Yeah. Which
is what 99% of RPGs do, just to grind you through those early levels. It feels like with The Witcher from, I don't know, like, let's just say mission 1, whatever you want to call it, every little story, you can see the amount of effort that's gone into it. So you do get invested in it. I mean, just the fact that you can go to a villager and then they'll give you their dilemma and then you investigate, and then it turns out that it's not just a black and white situation. There's a whole lot of other little complicated things going on. And then, you know, decisions rest on your shoulders. You're like, shit, like if I do this, I'm really going to screw over this character. But if I do that, then I'll save them. But then like the village will be screwed. It's little, I mean, that's just off the top of my head. But like little things like that do get you invested.
It's more gray areas.
Yeah, it's never clear. I mean, just to give an example, I'm doing the part of them, following that main quest with the Red Baron. There's a sort of a side main quest, if I can call it that, where you go to the swamp to investigate. I can't remember. There's some
disappearing children. Like
so with the disappearing children, and you end up, you find those old crones, whatever. And then they send you, you have to do them a favor so they can tell you where Ciri is, which is, I've noticed it's quite a common thing in the game. It's like, I'll help you, but first do something for me in return.
Yeah.
So you're busy helping them, and then you find this ghost or there's something in an old tree atop a hill that's busy killing people. And this thing tells you, it's like, please free me, like the old crones put me here. But you don't have any context. So, I mean, other than the fact that this ghost has been killing people. So it's like, it presents you this choice very quickly, and it's like, well, do you free it or do you not? I'm like, I actually don't know. Like, if I free it, maybe, obviously, it could be misleading me, like, free me, and then it goes and it destroys, I don't know, more villagers, whatever.
What did you do?
But before I made my choice, you can ask it, you're like, well, you're killing all these people, like, what are you doing? And then the ghost is like, well, sorry, when you this, so I'm paraphrasing like horribly here, but it's like when you're like one with nature, you can't differentiate between sort of like good and evil, you know, life is life sort of thing, and he needed to get the attention of people or someone to come and help. Well, I don't know if this ghost is male, I think it's a female, but anyways,
it's the ghost in the tree still.
Yeah. Okay. And you have to make this choice. You're like, well, okay, this poor thing's trapped and it's only killing people to get help, you know? So I don't know if I did the right thing. I did free it because I'm like, shame, this poor creature is stuck here, you know? So you initially free it, and then you go to the old crones and like, well, why did you free that thing? Like now you're not gonna see the effect now, but it's out of our sight now. It's gonna go and screw up another area now. Judging by reaction, maybe you did the same thing.
I did the exact same thing, and
I know,
and that is just one kind of like tentpole of the overall Red Baron kind of saga that you're currently in now. And I don't want to say whether I made the right decision or regretted it afterwards, because I don't think The Witcher 3 paints it in those shades. Yeah, I don't think there's a right choice. I think I have regret on some of my choices. But I really want to see this play out, because I know exactly what's going to happen now. I don't know what happens in the converse. And that's kind of what I want to play why I want to play The Witcher 3 again. But you've set in motion some really interesting events. So yeah, I didn't realize you had got that far in. I thought you had just met the crones and not the tree. The tree is really important.
I know.
But again, like I said, I don't know if you've made the wrong decision, because I don't know the converse.
I don't know if it is
I don't know whether it can get better or worse. But the Red Baron quest line is the best in the game, I think. And man, I can't wait for your message when you finally like get to the end of it and kind of like see all your little decisions that you didn't think were important play out.
Because at the stage, I mean, even though I'm 16 hours in, whatever you want to call it, I haven't seen anything that's like, oh man, this is because I did this. I haven't seen any long-term repercussions just yet. But I'm sure, like you say,
that's coming, yeah.
And I'm going to be like, why am I playing this game? I made all the wrong decisions. I should just stop being a Witcher.
Yeah, no, that's definitely happening. And again, it's these like segmented sagas that kind of build on each other. So you're in the Red Baron now. And I mean, the Red Baron is so important because I actually remember its name, because its ending and whole thing was just so good. I don't remember what the other ones afterwards were called. I remember some of the characters and the kind of like plot points that they hit, but nothing hit me as well as the Red Baron. Yeah, it's kind of like in The Witcher 2, the very first area in is it Flotsam? I think the city's called. I remember that distinctly and don't remember a lot of the rest of the game because it was just so good. So. Yeah, I'm super keen to see you get to the end.
I'm scared now. I suppose I should have realized things were off when I was taking a horse to like be possessed by the creature.
Look, yes, you take a horse to get possessed. Yes.
At that point, there was no turning back. So
God, the Witcher 3 is so weird sometimes. My God, I need to get to play the DLC eventually. It's something that's like been staring me in the face, because apparently the first one, Hearts of Stone, is pretty good, but Blood and Wine, or Wine and Blood, is phenomenal apparently. So I really need to get on that. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. So still, this is long-term game. I'm only right at the beginning. Yeah. And I've got that problem of, I'm not really OCD, but I'm a little bit OCD, where I'm like, well, I need to finish everything. But now I will hit a point where I'm like, I just need to let go and just plow through a couple of main quests, get to the next area.
I think you'll get to that point. Like any game, I experienced this when I was playing The Phantom Pain, Metal Gear 5. I wanted to do kind of everything, and I was enjoying doing everything so much because the gameplay is really good. But I think around 40 hours in, I was starting to burn out because...
Just too much.
Yeah, you start doing the main missions and you realize they aren't that different, and you're like, oh, nothing's changing. But you feel like nothing's changing because you've been playing the game in a way that I don't even think it was designed to be played like that, you know? So yeah, I would 100% seek out a lot of the side stuff, but I wouldn't feel guilty for following. No. Like going through spurts of just following the main. Like, there's so much in that game. Yeah, it's daunting at first. I've heard people actually knock the game negatively just because of that, because it gives them like anxiety. There's just too much going on. So yeah, just be wary of that, I guess.
Yeah, keep in mind. But I know the way I am with games. When I start out, I'm like, I must see and do everything. And I do reach a point, I'm like, okay, I'm just never going to finish this game. So yeah, I'll get over it.
Yeah, of course.
I'll plow through. So what have you been playing though?
So last week, when we recorded stuff, I was playing a certain, subsection of games. And I mean, just because of the nature of how my weeks go and how many reviews I get per week, that changed completely this week. So I'm not going to retread. I'll retread one thing because I have been playing it this week. But what I do want to talk about is Moss. So Moss is a PlayStation VR exclusive. It's made by Polyarc, and Sony's published it, I think. And I don't know, have you seen anything about Moss?
It's the game where you're the cute little mouse?
Yes, you're the really cute little mouse, my God. It was revealed at E3 last year, and I mean, the mouse was the most striking part of it. But I think Moss is really good because it's one of the very few VR games where I felt VR has been used from the very first second the game was envisioned. VR was part of that process.
So it wasn't just shoehorned in.
Exactly, yeah. So many VR games try and adapt existing game models and then try and put VR into them. So that's why we have a lot of shooters, which often don't feel that great because they're trying to replicate scenarios which would 100% feel better with a standard controller. And we get games where the sum total of its VR compatibility is like, cool, your camera isn't on your right thumbsticks, it's now your head, but everything else is the same. And it's terrible. Like I played Doom VFR, or it's called VFR because it's virtual fucking reality instead of just virtual reality because it's Doom.
It's Doom.
Yeah, it's Doom. And it was terrible. Like I think I played about half an hour and I was just like, I never want to touch this again. It was just shit. It was like not good. I'd rather just play normal Doom. So Moss is really good because it takes the idea of a platformer, but then uses VR in a way that if you stripped VR out of the game, it wouldn't work at all.
Okay.
So the premise is that you play with the standard controller as Quill, who's the little mouse, but then you also play as a character called the Reader, who is basically controlled with motion controls in your controller and the movement of your head. So Quill can see you as the Reader. You're like this deity that just watches over her. And you basically have to work cooperatively to get past little puzzles. So there was a game on Oculus Rift called, oh God, I had it on the tip of my tongue and I just forgot. I think it was Chronos.
Yeah.
It was also like an action platformer where the use of VR was basically like every room had a fixed camera position, much like Resident Evil or whatever. The camera couldn't move. And the only thing that moved it was like your rotation of the head. Moss works in the same way. So you have these small little arenas that you can kind of like, you can zoom in by like peering in with your head or look around a corner or stuff like that. But you're also just moving Moss around and getting her from point A to point B. And it's just really cool because you feel like there's a link between you and Quill.
Yeah.
She will run to like a gap and you will have to use your motion controls to pick up like a stone and put it in the gap so she can get across. There's also instances where there's a set amount of enemies. The enemies are really cool because Quill she only has a sword and she can kill things with a sword and climb everywhere, but she never gets anything else. In terms of like inventory, that comes through with like the enemies. There's an enemy that can shoot, an enemy that can explode, and you as the Reader are able to kind of take direct control of the enemies and use them for your own will. So you can have Quill on like a platform that has a switch on the other side of the room, and like there's no way she's going to hit that switch. So you can take control of an enemy, move him kind of in the correct position, get him to shoot the switch while Quill is on a platform that rises up. So it's stuff like that. It reminds me a lot of, did you play Brothers, Tale of Two Sons? No. It's sort of like that. It's like it's a single player game, but you're playing as two characters.
Cool.
So the game's really clever. It's got really clever puzzles that kind of increase in difficulty in a very comfortable fashion. But Quill is also just damn adorable. Like
that's literally all I know about the game.
Oh,
the character.
She's so adorable. She'll like, if you're stuck on a puzzle, she'll look at you and motion to you with sign language because she can't talk. Yeah, so they completely animated her. Whoa. I think a bird just flew into my window.
Wow.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yes. So she's been animated to use a sign, which I guess is proper sign if you can read sign. I can't read sign. Or the variations on sign. But she'll kind of like motion towards a solution or motion towards a hint. And just the way she's animated in general, like when she jumps up on a ledge, her legs like kick behind her as she's trying to like scurry up. Her animations are sometimes very slow, so you can see there's a lot of effort being put into her climbing, and she just feels very real. Yeah. And then having that in VR, where you're completely immersed in like her world, is really cool. The sense of scale is really nice because you're in a forest sometimes, and something will rustle in the background, and you'll be like, "Whoa, what's that?" Because it sounds really loud, and it'll just be like a deer that's drinking water nearby, but the deer looks huge in comparison because you're tiny. So again, it's those sorts of things that VR makes possible. Like that would be never completely throwaway in another sense. And also just the way its puzzles are designed, like you need to sometimes peer around corners to see where Quill is, or a wall will be obstructing a hazard, so you need to like shift your vision a little bit so that you can actually see that there's something there. Again, like a rotating camera can maybe achieve that, but you lose all the feeling of that. So it's short. It's like 3 hours, which is kind of disappointing because I just wanted to play more
of it. Not
because I think it's a ripoff. I think at $30, it's, considering how good of a VR game it is and how few of those there are, it's 100% worth it. And there are hints that there's going to be more. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
That's what I was going to say, is that a lot of VR games do tend to be these short little experiences.
Yeah.
But it's sort of reassuring to hear that there is not to say that there aren't any good games in PSVR, but it does seem like there's still a distinct lack of, there's no real like a proper compelling reason to rush out and buy PSVR, at least not for me anyway. I mean, I still don't have it. So you've had it for hours and over a year now.
About a year now, yeah.
I
hardly used it in that year.
Yeah, but if more games of this caliber, where exactly as you said, they built from the ground up to take advantage of VR, not the other way around. I think there are exceptions. So Resident Evil 7, I think, is one of the few examples where it's like, this is a normal game, but it just happens to work really well with VR.
100%.
But there are other titles like Doom where they try and just put VR in and it's nothing.
Work,
So if there are more games like this, it's reassuring to hear, and let's hope that Sony don't just shelve the VR like the Vita.
I really hope so. Like, I got to the end of Moss and I see like they keep it very open-ended and very like explicitly hint that there's more to come. But if you do a search around, there's really nothing about potential DLC. So I guess I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Sony will see how Moss is both received in a critical sense, which has been really good so far, and in sales, and whether they want to commission more work from Polyarch. I hope they do, because I think if I just look at all the PSVR exclusives right now, Moss is the strongest by like a mile. Like Farpoint was okay.
There's been like okay experiences.
Yeah, the Impatient was pretty middling. There's now a new game called Bravo Team, which is from the people who made Until Dawn, which it's like a war shooter. So again, it's like the least exciting thing in VR that I could possibly think of. So Moss is like a breath of fresh air. I think the last time I felt this excited about a VR game was when I played Super Hot VR, because that again was taking a concept that worked on mouse and keyboard, but completely re-engineering it so that it worked with VR. And Resident Evil 7 was a really good example of that too. So yeah, I'm really happy with Moss. If you have a PSVR, you should 100% get it. Cool. Again, I still don't think like, should you drop 5,000 Rand on a VR headset to play a 3-hour mouse adventure? No,
I'm not.
Will you be missing out on a great game? 100%, but I mean, I wouldn't advise anyone to spend that much money on a 3-hour game.
No, definitely. So. But yeah, let's hope this is a sort of a trend. Maybe exactly as you said, if Sony do see sort of positive sentiment around this, maybe they'll be more willing to take, I don't know if you can call it a gamble. It's something that's, this sort of game is just different. It's built for VR. So let's hope they focus more on that and not just, well, here's this game that just has VR like latched on for fun.
I think they're getting better though. Like if you look at the first year of VR and just what's coming in the second year, there's definitely a difference in terms of both ideas and the quality of those ideas, which is good. I read a Reset Era thread the other day where people were saying this is like the second wave of VR. Even though the hardware hasn't changed, we're starting to see developers finally get to grips with how to design around this instead of just taking what they're familiar with and adapting it. Because I think that's like anything.
That's normal for consoles in general. I mean,
100%.
Look at, let's say, the PlayStation 3. I think when that console started, it was, I think, what is it? The cell architecture, whatever it was, people just hated it. So everything dev people were just, not loving it. But I mean, that console toward the end of its life cycle, I mean, it was around for a long time, but the games just got better. If you look at it, it's weird to think that, let's say, Uncharted, for example, how that looked. And you go to Uncharted 2, and then there's The Last of Us, and then Uncharted, well, I don't know which one came out first, but the point is, the difference between like Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 1,
it's huge.
It's massive. It only exists because people are like, cool, now we get how this hardware works. We can execute ideas like this or like that, or we can just, extract more power out of the console. So I'm sure VR will go the same way. And if from what you've said, that's how it's working anyway. Second year is really looking
a lot better,
positive. So
I think it's maybe a bit harder because it's where a console, understanding the console better just allows you to make things look and run better. It's not so much a fundamental change on how people think games should be designed. So like if you look at a PS3 or an Xbox, the controller never changes. So your games are constricted to the same amount of inputs and outputs. VR is a complete redefinition on how people interact with their games. And I think, anyone would logically try and replicate something they know works already in a VR space and see, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And now we're past those like experimental phases and we're getting to points where people are understanding this really works in VR, this doesn't at all. Like give this much control to players within the game, allow them to move around freely or fix them in a position, design levels around that. And, it's again, like they are getting better at it. And Moss is a good example of that.
Yeah. So let's hope that trend continues. But other than that, if you played anything else this week, I know we both played some good old Kirby.
Yes. Let's actually chat about that. Because that's something, again, we both played. So Kirby, gosh, what's it called? All Stars? All-Star Allies? My Switch is across the room now. I think it's
butchering the name.
I think it's Star Allies. Because there's one on there's one on 3DS, so it's very confusing. Like
it's like I think it takes that idea and it's basically putting it on Switch with more characters.
Sort of, but the one on 3DS is more like a Smash sort of clone. Okay. So it's more about competitive play in a way, I think. Star Allies is 100% a single player game from the feel of the demo.
Yeah, well, I think there is room for multiplayer. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I think. Just from we really should have read the product box.
Yeah.
But I think just from playing, literally, there's only 2 levels available in the demo.
Yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't have multiplayer. It could work. I think if every person, the Switch is one of those consoles that's like, have a Joy-Con, have half a controller, but everyone gets half a controller and you can all play and you can control, there's 4 characters on the screen at a time. So I don't know. Oh, I don't see it not working as a multiplayer game, but don't hold me to that. I haven't read the product box. I think we just both dived into the demo, really excited to have some Kirby action.
Yeah, 100%. And the demo was really, really good. I thought, because I'd seen the game in Direct. I'd seen it, just kind of like, I always knew there was a Kirby game coming. So I love Kirby games. Like, I think they're simple. I think they're really fun to play as, just simple platformers. And they all kind of have their own spin on just traditional platforming. Like I think the last one I played was a 3DS one called Robo Planet or something like that. So, I don't know. It was a weird
they've got very Kirby complicated names that are just very difficult to remember.
But it was cool because like Kirby could get like mechs, which was so cool. Like this pink little ball like getting in this like really mechanical, fierce looking mech with like a friggin' chainsaw on it. It was a good time. Yeah. So I've been looking very forward to a new Kirby on Switch ever since they announced it at E3 last year. But I don't think I was prepared for how different this Kirby is and how insanely clever it feels. Like it almost. Have you ever played that game on iOS called Alchemy.
Mm-mm. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, so you combine different elements.
You start with like 3, and you have to make 100 and something or whatever.
Yeah. Like as you like climb the ladder and combining like dirt with water, then you have mud, and then mud and fire makes clay or something like that. This kind of Kirby reminded me a lot of that game because like you absorb enemies and you can, in standard Kirby fashion, once you've absorbed them, you can kind of take on their powers. But then you also have the ability to throw hearts at enemies. It's the cutest
thing. The power
thing.
of friendship.
I know, right? It's literally like, take a heart, take my friendship, please. And then they become your friends, and you can hold up to like 3 friends at a time. You know, Kirby's a popular dude. Like, popular. I don't know what the hell Kirby is. And they all can kind of like join your party and bring along their powers. And then you can start combining the powers in like interesting ways. Like, I know the one I used a lot was I absorbed a knight enemy, so I had a sword, so I could like do attacks. The attacks remind me a lot of Kirby's attacks in Smash Bros.
Oh yeah,
they feel identical, like, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But then if I wanted to do more damage or needed a certain puzzle that required a certain element for its solution, I could ask a pal of mine to blow fire on the sword, so it was a flame sword, or blow ice on the sword, or I don't think I could do a water sword. I don't know.
So that's the thing. That you'd think that, okay, well, now I've got water, fire, and ice. Those should therefore be applicable to whatever other thing. But there are like little unique variations. So like you say, I don't know if there is a water sword. Like,
I can't remember if I tried that. But you came up with some cool combinations in some screenshots I saw that I hadn't even seen, like, at all.
Yeah, it's interesting because it looks like we both played through the demo and we've both found stuff that the other didn't. So, for example, I don't know, maybe we just ran past the enemy without realizing, or we just killed them.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time I was killing people with the sword and just like not caring about...
So I absorbed a yo-yo enemy. So literally, Yo-Yo Kirby, he's got a cool little hat on backwards, and he's got a whole... it's got a yo-yo with a whole moveset that goes with it. But then, if memory serves... I think you can apply any elements to that. So you get a water yo-yo, a fire yo-yo, an ice yo-yo. And I mean, these are just examples we found in the demo. I don't know what other elements or what other... I mean, I can imagine there's going to be a lot more, and there's just going to be crazy combinations. But I mean, you were telling me you found like a ninja.
Yeah, there was a dude right at the end of the second level who was just like a... I mean, he didn't look like a ninja when Kirby just, straight up absorbed him. Just like opened his mouth and ate him.
He's hungry, man.
Yeah, Kirby's always hungry. But when I absorbed his power, I got one of those like little like headbands, a red headband, and then Kirby was just flying punches everywhere. Again, it felt a lot like some of his moves in Smash Bros. But then the cool thing is that I was like, okay, cool. So can I apply like fire to my punches or something? Turns out I couldn't. But when I pressed the button for an assist from people in my squad, one of them would come to me, and I was able to like throw them, and they would bounce around the arena, dealing whatever elements of damage. So that was really useful against the last boss, which was Evil Dedede, Swole Dedede.
Yeah,
jeez, that dude's been hitting.
He's been jamming, bro.
Holy crap! It's like Nicola Dedede.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's worse than Nicola.
Oh my god! Man, he just looks so happy and fat with his hammer, and next thing he just rips his shirt, and he's just got these massive arms.
Toned, man.
Oh man, if there's not an amiibo of Swole Dedede,
then
I
want my money back.
I want my money back. Yeah. So it was really cool, and there was another enemy, like a rock type enemy.
Yeah, I did get that one.
You got that one, and like if you jumped and pressed attack, you became Kirby turned into a rock and fell.
Which is also that's
Smash,
from Smash Bros.
Because it's the best friggin' arena clear in the whole of Smash. It's great, and you could apply like fire to that and stuff. There was also the one with the umbrella.
Yes, that umbrella creature that was just, I don't know if there were any cool uses of it. I only really saw it being used to solve puzzles. So you can't walk past water; you have to hold an umbrella to get you and your friends past.
But you also had to hold the umbrella so that you could light the fuse of that one bomb.
Yes, yeah. So they combine like Kirby with his friends in very interesting ways to solve puzzles. So I don't know how complicated it all gets. I mean, this demo really was like, cool, here's everything you need, just walk from A to B.
Yeah.
But I imagine in the final game there will be, there's just little puzzle pieces. That's the collectible in the game. I'm sure there are tons hiding around. And to find them, you're going to have to just, pair up with different pals and figure out different combinations.
Yeah, I think there's going to be instances where there's a puzzle piece, like you can clearly see that there's a secret room you can get to, but you don't have in your squad of friends like an ability that will let you get there. So I think that's where the challenge is going to come from, because the puzzles to just finish the levels were pretty easy and straightforward. But again, like the umbrella dude, he blocked the water pipe for me, but I had an ice guy in my party. So I let go of the assist key a bit too early. And as a result, the ice guy was like, cool, I got you, fam. And he just like froze the water.
Oh, no ways. Okay, so there are different ways. It's not just
I don't think there's one specific way, but like he just froze it. And then I was like, cool, I don't need to worry about this at all anymore. So yeah, and I think my favorite part in the demo was that where you get on the platform and all 4 of your friends do this little dance, and then you become like this rolling wall of destruction.
That was to solve that particular puzzle.
Yeah,
and it was even
called ball. Like
it had such a I missed screenshotting. It was like the friendship ball, something like very like happy friends sort of thing.
But they're just rolling and tearing shit up like in front of them. Like everything dies in front of them. They break walls and they're just like laughing maniacally as they're doing this.
But it is funny. I do find it hilarious that you recruit a friend like, "Here, have a heart," and then late in the level, you see an enemy of the exact same type, and you just straight up murder them. Like, get out of my way.
Yeah, get out of my way. I've
already got one of you. I don't need you in particular. So,
or when you have to get rid of a friend, you're like, sorry, you're not useful to me.
I know, and it's like, when you get a new power, it's like, who do you want to replace in your party? Like, yeah, you're not popular anymore.
Get out of here. Get out of my friend group.
Done with you.
Man, it's like school all over again. It's horrible.
Jeez,
Kirby's a bully, man.
Yeah. He's a popular kid though, man. He's always in the group. He never leaves.
But like, it's just so interesting, like with the Switch, to have a game like Zelda, which is a redefinition of open world games, to Mario Odyssey, which is just not a redefinition of platforming, but the perfection of open world platforming. And then you have Kirby, which is 2.5D platforming. With this really neat twist that Kirby itself has never seen. And it just feels... Nintendo's library is so varied and so interesting.
I think when I saw another Kirby game, you do... Like, Kirby's one of those franchises where the games are really cool, but it's not on, like, a Zelda and Mario level. Not as many people go like, oh my god, a Kirby game. Like,
Kirby and Yoshi chilling like the same bracket
they're like
almost.
The sort of mid-tier. People love them, but they don't get as excited for them. So it's interesting to see. I mean, this is literally just a demo. We don't know what the final game's going to be like.
And it's out soon.
It's
like 16th of March.
Yeah, so it's 2
weeks,
whatever it is. So the demo gave a really nice taste of the little variations and the 2 boss fights. I'm curious to see how far they take this. Like what other, I mean, if you think about like an alchemy game, you start with 3 elements, whatever it is, you get 100 plus,
to make a Jedi at one point.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, are they going to bring like that sort of level to Kirby where you start off also simple, you've got your fire, but then like sort of the later levels, or to solve more complex puzzles, you have to really think like, cool, okay, I need to combine this with this. Like, how far are they going to go with that?
Yeah, and it feels very new to us now because they were throwing so many different enemies at us. Like, how deep does that well go? Like, will it be within an hour you've seen all the enemies and now it's just... I mean, the thing is, it's interesting because seeing all the enemies is only half of the puzzle. Like, you need to see an enemy that you need to decide, do you want him as part of your party or do you want to absorb him and use his power? Because those are 2 very different things.
Exactly.
And then just the combination. So I think there's potential for a lot of depth. But like you, I'm curious to see how it holds up in the long run because, like I say, Kirby games are fairly easy. So a lot of people bounce off of them because... a lot of people like, even if it's not a lot of challenge, just some sort of challenge. And I thought a game like Yoshi's Woolly World, which I played on 3DS last year, hit that good balance because it was good platforming, fairly easy to pick up. But if you wanted to find all the secrets within each level, it got really difficult. So having that balance is, I think, where Kirby needs to go. And I didn't expect it to be this interesting, put it that way. I was just expecting a cute platformer with cool powers, but to see this kind of like swapping depth is rad.
I literally only downloaded the demo because you surprised me like, I'm down. Like, I've got Kirby to play. And I was like, I didn't even know the demo is out. So, likewise, I'm on the same page as you. Interested to have a Kirby game, especially on the Switch, man. Like, that console, still in love with it, and just putting let's hope a good Kirby game, because I mean, let's look at last year where Nintendo had Zelda and Mario, like these two exceptional games. I'm trying to see what are they going to do this year.
Yeah,
like how could they ever top like their perfect? Well, let's say perfect year last year, if you want to call it that.
It was a perfect year last year for them, I think. Yeah, I mean, they've come out the gate strong already. They've got the first 2 Bayonettas out this just last month, which
and Bayonetta 3 is coming as well.
Bayonetta 3 is coming apparently this year. Who the hell knows?
Who knows?
And now you've got a Kirby next month. We've got Donkey Kong Country Freeze? Tropical Freeze?
That's the one that Jeff just won't shut up about.
Yes. It's the one that came out on Wii U again. Another really, really good platformer.
And just was missed by people.
Again, So Nintendo is in this really good position where they made great games for the Wii U. They really did. It was just on a console no one played. So even if they're porting a lot of their games, because they feel new to maybe 3 out of 4 Switch owners, it still feels new. And then in May, you've got Dark Souls coming, which is awesome.
Many phone switches.
Exactly. And then June is E3. And there'll be a direct. And who the hell knows what happens at the end of this year? The online service is coming in September. And a lot of people think that has to launch with something. And I 100% think Smash is going to launch.
Yeah, that'll play into that so well.
Yeah, whether it's going to be Super Smash from Wii U ported over or a brand new Smash, which hasn't been done in a long time. I think we will get a Smash this year. And then, maybe Metroid comes out this year. Maybe Bayonetta 3 comes out this year. The fact that Kirby got announced at E3 last year and is out now
already.
It's
encouraging, actually.
Yeah, and Mario and Zelda both launched last year. So it's like...
Yeah, and Nintendo, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but they've been really good with correct me if I'm wrong, with their just release dates. I don't know of anything really being delayed or pushed out at all.
I mean, aside from Zelda being delayed like crazy from the Wii. Which I think was, thinking about it now, was more strategic than anything else. I think the game was ready. And they were just like, no, we need something on the Switch. So, yeah, they've been pretty good. Like, Mario never got delayed after it got its date. And everyone was like, that thing's going to get delayed. There's no way that thing's out in 4 months.
And it came out.
Straight up, yeah. Splatoon never got delayed. ARMS never got delayed. Nintendo seems to be pretty dead set. Now. Yeah. They hit a date, like they pencil in a date and they'll nail it. So the direct in January basically laid out all these games from then until May. And so far they've hit Bayonetta's date. They're going to hit Kirby's date. There's no indication that Dark Souls and the like are going to be delayed. So yeah, they've done really well. And what a coincidence that we're recording this on the Switch's
first birthday.
Yeah,
coincidence? I think not.
Man, this time last year I was both. Well, at this very time I was sitting in a lecture hall at Wits. I was in university and busy keeping my eye very close on Twitter because a lot of people were complaining that they weren't getting their consoles delivered. No. And I distinctly remember it was only, at the time, it was only 2 retailers that were sending their stock out. So, you had to go into the store to either get it, or you had one online retailer that was sending them out. And that retailer was doing a pretty terrible job of communicating delays and potential delays and stuff like that. So I was in this room busy on Twitter, oh my God, I'm not going to get the Switch today.
And that's why you failed that module.
Well, nearly. But yeah, I remember emailing people and tweeting people and trying to, at the same time, I'm thinking, well, if no one's getting the Switches, this needs to be an article. So I contacted the retailers in question, got official statements from them. And man, that whole day was just me worrying about whether this console was going to arrive today or 2 days from now, which is a stupid thing.
No, but I mean, it's something. It's coming. You're excited. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And it ended up arriving at 6 p.m. I was at a mall to watch a movie. I can't remember what movie it was. I think it was Alien Covenant.
Yeah, you're too busy on Twitter being where's my
damn Switch? So I got it, and I couldn't find a physical version of Zelda that day because they were all sold out. So I just downloaded one, and now I don't own a single physical Switch game because
I think
the downloading
Zelda is probably my only physical game as well.
It's cheaper, it's easier, it's whatever. But playing Zelda, like I just come off of reviewing Horizon Zero Dawn, which I loved. And then the first few hours of Zelda, I was just like blown away. It was unbelievable. And I played that game from the 3rd of March until I finished it somewhere in May. I chipped away at it almost every day. I think I played a little bit. And it just set the tone for what ended up being a year where a console made me feel like a kid again. Like I've never been this excited about hardware in a long, long time.
I think it's just interesting because the Switch, I mean, we've had mobile devices before. I mean, you've got the PSP and the Vita and obviously the DSs and whatnot. But the thing with the Switch is that it just hits it just hits such a spot, I guess. I mean, it's made a lot of people feel like kids again, where they're not getting like, I mean, and this isn't a knock against those specific handheld consoles. Like, there are really excellent games on those consoles. But let's be honest, a lot of them have limited power. So there's like, how do I say this? There's sacrifices that are made, let's say, in that way to make a game work on those consoles.
Yeah.
Whereas on a Switch now, it's basically a literal console. We've got this whole, like, let's say, Zelda, a huge world, an actual functional, and not to say that those handhelds don't have them, but this is just on a whole different scope. Visually and gameplay wise, it's just something different about it. And you've got that on the go. You can play it anywhere. So it's especially with adults who, I mean, we've got plenty of friends who are parents and they just don't have the time to sit behind a console and play a game. But with a Switch, they can literally, whether it's putting in 5 minutes here, 20 minutes there, whatever it is, they're finding the time to game again now because of the Switch.
Yeah.
And I think they're really grateful for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the easiest console to, if you had a long day, you're like, oh man, I really don't want to sit in front of my TV now and play something. But I can take the Switch and play half an hour in bed just before I fall asleep. Like, it's that sort of thing. And, when you're going on holiday, you can just take the Switch.
Oh, yeah.
You can just take the console itself and you aren't missing a beat on anything that you want to play. I think, there's so many use cases for the thing, but I think the best has just been having it on my person during days where I'm not sure what my schedule is going to do. And I distinctly remember, I think it was in the middle of last year, I had a friend coming up from Cape Town who's an actor, and he was part of a production showing at the Joburg Theatre. So I knew, okay, I'm not gonna go home from Wits because like the Joburg Theatre's right here. And Shani and I were like, well, how are we gonna kill time? So I took the Switch and we went to the theatre and we parked our car and I propped up the Switch on my dashboard in my car and we just played Mario Kart for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's freaking great. Like, I'm playing a fully fledged Mario Kart that I would play otherwise at home, and I'm getting to share that with someone else on the go, like, so that we can kill time. Yeah, and again, just speaking to the games, like Mario Kart is a great racer because I think it's fun and it's challenging to get really good at. But at the same time, Shani, who's my girlfriend, if no one knows that,
who is this person?
Yeah, she's not as gaming inclined as I am. But she can pick up and play Mario Kart because it's got things like assistive steering, or the thing she keeps that off generally, but the thing she keeps on all the time is auto acceleration because she hates holding down a button to accelerate.
So you literally just
it just accelerates for you. And having accessibility options and stuff like that within the game is really cool because anyone can pick up and play it. I heard a story the other day of someone who said they got their 4-year-old to finish Mario Odyssey.
Oh, no way.
Using the assist mode, which it kind of like guides you to areas you need to go to and helps you with certain challenges. That's awesome. And it didn't take away from my experience of Odyssey, which was like, it's really challenging platformer at times, which I got fully invested into because like, options are good.
In my day, we didn't need assist modes.
Yeah, in your day, you just had the get good mode.
The get good mode. No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, the thing with the Switch is exactly as you said, accessibility, I think, is probably one of the best things about it. I mean, even the fact that I know people where it's like, hey, I want to show you this game, and people are like, I have to like go into this person's room and sit down and like look at this thing. Whereas the Switch is like, no, you don't have to go anywhere. Like, I can show you right here in my hand. Like, look at this. And it's like, oh, cool. But I mean, even just from my own personal experience, I started my job last year And coming off gaming journalism and then not having as much time to play games was a real challenge for me because I commute really far.
Yeah, you drive very far.
I'm hoping that self-driving cars aren't too far off because if I could just sit in my car and read or play on my Switch or something.
In a car that drives itself.
Oh, like that's the dream. But point of the story is, so I didn't get my Switch on launch. I got a couple of months later and it just hit the spot so well because it really was like, okay, I've only got 15 minutes or I'm going to climb into bed now. I can just have my Switch with me. And Zelda as well. I put over 100 hours into the game. Also, more or less the same time frame as you over a period of 2 or 3 months. I would never have done that. I don't think if it was on an actual. Well, I mean, you can play it on a TV. You know what I mean? But if it was like stuck in my room, sort of thing, where you have to sit here and play this for 100 hours, I probably would have just been like, cool, play through the game, done. But because I had the option to play it anywhere, and I was finding time to put into it. I found every single shrine. I explored like every corner. Like I love that game, and I still love my Switch to this day. So
it's a combination of being a good game and being a portable. Like imagine you had the option to play The Witcher 3 now.
Oh
on
man,
Switch.
I wish. I'm still hoping one day they'll give us like a watered down version for the Switch.
Yeah, but imagine how that would impact your ability to play it. Like when you're not home on the weekend, or you just have the most. Like where I'm very busy, you're just dumbly social, like incredibly social. Like the amount of times you left last year to attend weddings, like in Cape Town or stuff like that. Like imagine having the Switch with you where you could just play this Witcher.
I'm just at that age though where everyone's getting married. You know, I'm old.
God no, God, and you're engaged.
And I'm engaged, so yeah, that's I'll play Switch at my.
Please have your wedding here in Joburg, so I don't have to fly to Cape Town.
Okay,
for the love of God,
done deal. If you fly to Cape Town, you can take a Switch though.
Yeah, that's also true. But if you had to go through what you've played on Switch now, and it doesn't have to be exclusives or whatever, just like the 3 games that you think have impacted you the most on the Switch because of how good they are, because of how good they are on the Switch itself, and the 3 you'd kind of recommend people to get out the gate. Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I have to say it's Zelda, because I think that itself is just, you know, you get those games. Well, I've always heard people say like, this is the game that will sell a console. And it's been difficult for me to wrap my head around it, because I'm like, really, you're going to buy a console to play one game? You know, surely there must be more, you know, to the console than a game. But Zelda is definitely one of those where you'll buy it. I'm hoping that whoever buys it like falls in love with it the way that you and I did. I mean, by all means and intents, we've seen friends of ours get the Switch also like long after it launched, and they've fallen in love with Zelda. And it's always such a nice feeling watching them experience it for the first time. I mean, you had that with me.
Yeah, 100%.
I played it just after you, and you were like, oh man, you're experiencing it for the first time. Like, I'm so jealous. And now I see that with other people.
The kind of joy you had when you were like, oh my God, you can do this. And
it's that childlike imagination sort of thing where it's just all of a sudden it's not just a game. You're like, wow, like everything's possible, you know?
Yeah.
So I think Zelda is definitely a game that people should consider for the system if they are looking to pick up Switch. And I am going to go with another Nintendo one, but Super Mario Odyssey is just like, a part of me thinks that Galaxy is a little bit better, but I think maybe because Galaxy was more about the fact that there was just something about it. You on these little planets and you're in these 3D worlds, and it messes with gravity, and it's just something that was new at the time as well, like just different. Whereas Mario Odyssey is really, really good. Don't get me wrong, but it's really just like you said earlier, like perfect platforming.
It's a refinement job more than anything else.
Yeah, there are cool ideas obviously, but it's just like the perfect platformer. And yeah, I don't know, it's just really good. So again, top 3 for me. And then my third one, interestingly enough, I'd say Stardew Valley, which is little indie title I've heard so much of. I heard so much of last year, and I suppose the year before. I don't know. I think it's been out for quite a while now.
Yeah, it came out in 2016.
And
16, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just one of those games. I'm like, people just love this game, and I don't know why. It's well, I don't want to say farming simulator, but it's like a farming / dating / I don't know, resource management simulator. I'm like, I don't know if I'd enjoy a game like this, but I'm just gonna buy it regardless. So when it was announced for Switch, I was like, well, I think at the time I'd finished Zelda, or well, it doesn't matter. I didn't have anything really to play on my Switch at the time.
You put a poll up on Twitter asking what you should play.
I probably did. No, this is before I committed my life choices to Twitter.
Okay.
But the point is, I didn't have anything to play on my Switch at the moment. So I was like, well, Stardew Valley's out now. I'm just going to grab it. And I get why people enjoy it. It doesn't make any sense because it's a game where you're literally running a farm.
Yeah.
But just the satisfaction you get from, you plant your seeds, you water them, you pick your plants, you sell them, you interact with people. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if that's the perfect game. I'd be like, I don't know if I could commit to that on a PC or PlayStation or Xbox, where you have to sit down and play.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can play that anywhere, I mean, one day in that game is 10 to 15 minutes. So it really just fits so perfectly. So I was at a point in bed every night or whenever I was out, I'd just play a day or two at a time. And I think I've put like 30 to 40 hours in the game now. So I haven't even reached like levels that I've seen other people. I haven't married anyone or anything.
Did you have a dog?
I've got a cat. Obviously.
Man, wrong choice, dude. Wrong choice.
Well, I wish the cat had a better use. It just meows there and all its cuteness.
See, the dog is a working dog. Maybe it will dig up your strawberries.
I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, that is probably the third game I'd recommend for people, just because I think it'll surprise people in the same way it surprised me. So Zelda and Mario are safe bets where you're going to get an adventure game and a platforming game. And I know a lot of people will be like, Stardew Valley, it's a simulator game. Like, it's not for me. But I don't know. I think
it's super whimsical. Like, I haven't played a lot of it, but it just feels so happy all the time.
Yeah, no, that's it. Then you get to a point you're like, damn, like, I really enjoy this game. And I can't wait to go and farm my watermelons.
It's got great music as well.
It's
really good.
But yeah, side note, what's mind-boggling is that game is made by a single person who coded it, did the artwork, and composed everything. So I'm like, I just appreciate the game even more. Yeah,
you read that chapter in Jason Try's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I think it's in there.
So I played the game a lot before reading the book, but then after reading the book, it's like, wow, like, mad respect. This game was made by a single person.
Yeah. And now he's busy putting like multiplayer in.
Yeah, you're going to come farm some watermelons. And
definitely. I'll bring my dog and he can,
nice. Don't eat my cat.
Eat your cat, maybe, who knows.
Yeah. But those are my top three.
I kind of agree with you for the most part. Like, I'm not going to retread ground on Zelda and Mario because I think you hit the nail on the head there. Zelda is a redefinition of how open world games can work. It's a systems-driven game, which is me just regurgitating some game design terminology here, but it really is. It's a game that you're able to play around in. It doesn't impose that many restrictions on you, and I still think there's a lot of that game that people haven't discovered yet. Every now and then I come across a GIF on Twitter where someone has used like stasis or kinesis like in this weird way, and I'm like, holy crap. I think that's why the game is so interesting to watch from a speedrun perspective, because people break that game in the most imaginative ways. Like, it's crazy. And I'll never forget seeing a solution to a shrine where you could, not a shrine, I think it was a divine beast, where you had to find these 2 electric balls for the specific platform. But if you're lazy, you could just put all your metal weapons in a row and connect the 2 pads. It's like, holy crap! Like, okay, they can conduct electricity. Like, that is incredible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Zelda 100%. I think it's a no-brainer. You should purchase that game. I think Mario's there as well. And my third vote is kind of split between. I think SteamWorld Dig 2 is really, really, really good. SteamWorld Dig 2 is a game you can get on almost any console, but on the Switch, it is just phenomenal. It's a really good it's not roguelike. Sorry, I'm being stupid. It's not roguelike. It's like a Metroidvania. You explore the ground beneath you. You dig a lot to get resources, and you return to the surface to hand those in for like upgrades and stuff. And then those upgrades allow you to explore different areas. And you'll come across like secret caverns and caverns that you need to go to get specific upgrades. And it's just really good. It's got a good loop. It's got a really great art style. And I think it works best on Switch because like I played it when I was on holiday in Cape Town. So, when Shani's watching TV, I'm sitting on the couch playing SteamWorld Dig. But then the other one is Splatoon 2. I think Splatoon was a greatly underappreciated shooter on the Wii U. I think it is one of the most innovative shooters in a very long time. If you don't know the premise, it's like you play as these squid kids who are able to change from kids into these squids, and you shoot paint around arenas, and games are determined by which team has covered the arena in their color paint the most. And you're able to swim in your color ink to get around the arena faster. And you have all these weird, cool like guns that are based off like water pistols, and like it's just really charming and really cool. It's got a great soundtrack, but it's also just a really unique shooter. You're not thinking about just killing other people. You're thinking about, okay, where are people not sitting on the map because maybe that area hasn't been painted a lot. Maybe I can. So it's a whole redefinition of how shooters, how you think about shooters. And I think it's a great game again to have on the Switch because it's got a good single player, which feels more like Portal than anything else. It's got some good puzzles, and it's just a great multiplayer game. It's just kind of a bit disappointing that locally the multiplayer community is not as big as I'd like it. So it's a bit tough to find games every now and then. But that's why I got the Splatoon Joy-Con for my Switch, because I fucking adore that game. You've got the arms one and you haven't even played the game.
Oh, the yellow ones.
Yes.
Man, those yellow ones are so pretty.
The banana Joy-Con.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Switch has just been so good. It's been the console I played the most throughout the last year by far.
Likewise.
And it's, last year the year before, I got a PS4 Pro, and last year I got a Xbox One X, which are both really great consoles, really powerful consoles, but no console has made me as excited as I am about hardware like the Switch. It's just so, and it's interesting to see Nintendo again say, we don't care about power, we care about how you play these games and the games that work, that riff off of the hardware we made, and it 100% works.
It's that Nintendo charm.
It's magic. I swear to God, it's magic.
And
so
I'm glad they're back, because the Wii U was disappointing. So, but I mean, I suppose the trend shows that Nintendo do have like an amazing console and a mediocre console. Amazing. So I'm glad we're back at amazing Nintendo. Yeah.
I just hope again they learn from these experiences, and it's tough for them to learn because they're experimenting. Their games are never bad. No. I don't think any of the games, especially their exclusives on Wii U, were bad. I just think the console was confusing, and especially with its naming, people didn't understand that it was like a sequel console, and but they are experimenting. The Switch in another universe could have crashed and burned 100%, because it was like a complete different way to play games, but who knows what they come up with next.
Well, I mean, even just to go back on it, when the Switch was before it had launched, there was like plenty naysaying, but especially with the library. I mean, it really was when Zelda came out. I was like, cool, the Switch is out, Zelda's great. What else do you play now? And it's weird to fast forward a year and you're like, well, where can you find the time to play all of these titles? Because now there's just this huge library with such good games. So they've really, I think, I don't know how they're going to top their first year, but it's been great for them. And I'm hoping that, they just keep it up.
I mean, the thing that speaks volumes is whenever a new game is announced, everyone's like, Switch port?
Exactly.
Everyone wants to play things on Switch because they want to have the ability to take these things on the go. So it doesn't matter about the library. The library was bad at launch because it was Nintendo coming out of the gates of a truly terrible console and people going, are we going to put the time into actually working on this thing? And within 3 months, you saw it's become the new indie machine.
Exactly.
Like indies launch on Switch. Like they do not omit Switch anymore. No. It's weird. Like I played Into the Breach this week. Shit, I forgot to talk about Into the Breach. Next time. And it was so weird to see like, oh crap, this is only out on PC. I was like, man, it would be great on Switch. Like it's playing Celeste on Switch. The store is actually a bit of a bother to like navigate now
because
there's so much. There's like I had to scroll so far down just to get to the Kirby demo, and that's a game like it's an exclusive that's coming out in like 2 weeks, and it took me
that long.
Yeah, exactly. So which is good. The library's strong. You can find anything on Switch. So
it's funny though because I am that person as well where I see a game and I'm like, I could buy it on my PC or I could buy it on Switch. I'm probably going to buy it on Switch, and I have. I mean, I've played a ton of indies. So just to give you an example, like Shovel Knight is something that's been around for ages. Came to Switch, was like, cool. 100%. Played it on Switch.
100%. I mean, I haven't bought Hollow Knight yet because they are bringing a Switch port. It's not active. And I'm like, I will play this on Switch. I will wait. Like, I will not buy it on PC right now to play it. And I mean, I bought Owlboy for the second time. Like, I've owned it on PC for over a year. I just never got around to playing it. But now it's like, oh shit, I got it on Switch. I could play this anytime.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited for the next year for the Switch. I have high hopes for it. I think everyone does. And I don't think people should look at it going, how are they going to top their first great year? You should go in thinking, how is everyone else going to support this now very established, well-sold console? Because the hard part is over. They got into the houses. They've done what the PlayStation 4 did in its first year. They got into so many people's houses that now people want to bring their stuff to Switch. Yeah. The Xbox is fighting that battle still. But no company is going to look at Switch and be like, it might not be possible. Like Monster Hunter can't get on Switch at the moment. But I'm sure if they could do it, they would.
They would.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Switch.
Yeah. Thank you for all the awesome memories.
Thank you for the good times. Yeah. So I think that's I know we wanted to talk a bit about kind of our histories with how we started with gaming, but I think that's a conversation that deserves a lot of time to it. I don't know. I don't want to rush on something. So just to kind of round things up, is there anything that you saw news-wise this week that kind of piqued your interest? I don't want to run through headlines that you might not be interested in.
The only thing really, something that we touched on in the podcast that that
died
was that some review scores for Metal Gear Survive have appeared now.
Yes.
And I'm still in the same page. My heart is broken because the Kojima drama aside, I still think that Fox Engine is so good, and just to see it being used like that, I'm like, oh, man, I'm just disappointed, I guess.
Yeah, it's really just again, it's one of those things where like everyone was expecting it, but you're kind of in the corner of your mind hoping, man, maybe this could be something cool actually. Especially when I played it at E3 last year, I was like, man, this is actually, I'm having fun with this. What's happening here? So people don't dig it. They say it's a bit too grueling, a bit too difficult.
When people get over I've seen people, so like Darren from Critical Hits, perfect example. He's reached a point now, he's just playing it, but he doesn't know why. Like, I think he's gotten over the grindy bits.
And now he's in a nice loop.
Yeah, he's in a nice loop. So I'm like, there's hope there. But I mean, yeah, maybe too little too late. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was sentiment that this might be the last Metal Gear from Konami, and I agree.
I
think they burned every single bit of will they had, like going into this, which wasn't that much anyway.
Yeah,
and I don't think. I mean, they've been pretty clear with their apprehension towards AAA production anyway. So I don't see a new Metal Gear coming out. No. I think Kojima's new game, Death Stranding. I think that's probably out next year sometime.
Baby holding Normus Reedus Simulator.
With a thumbs up. Yeah. Freaking going down Norman Reedus' throat to see a baby that gives you a thumbs up. Fuck, that game's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be, but yeah.
It's weird. I expect to see hopefully some gameplay this year. And I think it's going to be out next year. I have this sneaking suspicion that it's going to be very different from what people think in terms of scale. Because like Metal Gear has always been this big game.
Yeah, like over the top
game. I would not be surprised and would not be unhappy with a focused game that is maybe 6 or 7 hours.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Death Stranding is a focused game like that, coming off of the open worldness of Metal Gear 5.
Kojima's going to screw with everyone. It's like, it's a VR experience. It's 2 hours long.
Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh, people would lose their shit.
It's like the Solid Snake riding people over again. Like, it's actually an iOS game.
Yeah. But it's actually not.
No, you actually play the game on iOS connected to your PS4, and the only thing that the PS4 renders is the baby giving you a thumbs up. Yes. I would play
That's
that.
Very Kojima.
Could you imagine? Someone would find a reason to say that is innovative.
That's amazing. Only Kojima-san could pull off such amazing
I think they should hire us. I think we're giving away too many good ideas. Yeah. But yes, so I think it's going to be very different, but I'm very excited to see what he does. I also think, as much as I love him, I think he's sometimes given too much credit. Yeah, like, definitely. There are a lot of designers that left Konami with him, a lot of designers that didn't manage to leave with him that were integral to what Metal Gear Solid was.
Exactly.
So having them at Kojima Productions is great. I think Kojima himself is a visionary, but there need to be people in that company that make those visions a reality. And I hope Death Stranding can pull it off. Yeah.
Yes,
the one thing I saw as well was we spoke about it last week because it was a rumor, and then Blizzard just kind of like fanned the flames.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. So Blizzard put out this tweet yesterday, which had a little Diablo like nightlight, which looked really cool. And the whole tweet was them just recording, turning it on and off with a switch.
Yeah, which is pretty on the nose.
Yeah, read into that what you will, but considering it comes just a week after someone was like, hey, Diablo's coming to Switch, that's And they gave comment to a site I was reading last night that they say don't read too much into it. We were just having fun. I think they're pulling everyone's
no.
I think they 100% know what they're doing. They have experience with this sort of social media teasing with Overwatch. They do this all the time.
They're very cryptic with Overwatch, and they enjoy being cryptic.
Exactly. They are masters at this point. So I think Diablo on Nintendo Switch would work. I'm not going to say it's 100% confirmed because I mean we don't know, but I would be flabbergasted if after all this nothing comes.
Oh no. That would be the ultimate troll, though. So, I mean, let me ask you a question, though. Where can I get that Diablo headlamp?
Yeah, exactly.
That Outloud.
I want that.
Because I saw that feels like, well, that's cool. Then something in my head clicked. I was like, hang on. This is actually a teaser.
Imagine they come out, they're like, hey, this Diablo Nightlight is on the Blizzard store.
Oh, no. Like, that's all you're teasing. That's not just flip my table.
Would you dive into Diablo again on Switch?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Diablo 3 when that came out, played a lot of it, but I mean, like same story as everyone else. It was fun, but there were glaring issues with it. We glazed over this briefly in episode that will not be shared,
episode
but
-1.
We touched on like the auction house and issues, but then we also spoke about how Reaper of Souls just fixed everything. Like,
100%.
It made that game so good. It took all like the things that fans wanted and just put it in, and Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls is really, really good. So, I mean, I played a lot of that. If I could have that on the Switch, yeah, without a doubt, I'd put time in it.
It would be really cool if they found a way. I don't know how they would do it because I think playing Diablo on a standard controller is already a feat. But if they could find a way to have
a half a Joy-Con.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like a Joy-Con.
Yeah, a Joy-Con each and split it like that so you can play like couch co-op on the go.
I don't know. I can't see that happening, but if they could.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But again, like Diablo to me, even though it's got this really rich like lore and really dark demeanor, I think it's a game that you could play with someone that isn't super into gaming.
Oh, no.
And get them into like a couch co-op session.
I mean, when Diablo came out, I was disappointed because I level up. I'm like, I'm going to play my witch doctor level up. Cool. Can I choose my skills? It's like, no, we've given you these skills. I'm like, well, okay. But looking at it now, I understand. I mean, years later, I understand why it's done like that. So the idea is that people get the items and they find specific builds and they fine tune whatever. Point is though that it really benefits. So it still caters to veterans who want to like squeeze every little inch of perfection out of the game, find optimal builds, but then it caters to like random Joe
casual players.
Who's like, I don't know how to play this game. Cool, I've leveled up. Oh, cool, I can do this now. And I can still have fun, So yeah, I
think that's a balance that was missing from the original release. Like people plowed hours and hours into their game, and they're like, "There's no depth." And it's something Reaper of Souls fixed, and then that they continued fixing in the seasons. Afterwards.
We're like season 12 or 13.
I think they announced 13, and I saw people a bit disappointed with 13 because they're like, well, nothing's changed. I'm like, 13 seasons, a lot of post-launch. Like, that's a lot of post-launch support for a game. That is, there is no other company on earth doing that. Like, for a game that's not a competitive online shooter.
I mean, and they don't support it in the same capacity as Diablo 3, but Diablo 2 still gets like the odd patch now and then. You're like, what?
I mean, for something like Overwatch, you can see why. Like, a lot of their content is gated behind loot boxes. So, like, the Overwatch League was, I think it's still going on. I haven't really watched it, but they put in a bunch of skins into the game through loot boxes. So that kind of like content update is expected because people are expected to pay for it. With Diablo, like they took out the auction house, so they weren't making money from that. They only had the one expansion. Like, they are not earning money outside of that, but they're putting so much into it.
The only avenue they did, they open up the door for more money was just the Necromancer. But even
the new character, yes.
But even that, I mean, that's years after the fact. It's a optional character. I mean, and they're still releasing seasons.
13 seasons.
Season 12, is it season
it's
12 or
13 now, yeah.
Okay. It's just, that's a lot of seasons and a lot of post-launch support.
It's an admirable amount of post-launch content for a game that doesn't, like, traditionally you wouldn't get that.
No.
Like, it would get an expansion, it would get some content afterwards, and that would be it. Like, you would be on Diablo 4 now or something.
Yeah.
And as much as people would like another Diablo 4, I think we'd get a new expansion before anything else. I don't think they're ready to wipe the slate clean nowadays.
It's Blizzard for crying out loud. They're not going to do it for
They've built this platform with Diablo 3. They're not going to, reinvent it again. I think another expansion for Diablo 3 would be, that would get me back into it. Launch that shit with the Switch, man. Like, hey, we're bringing the expansion, complete edition on Nintendo Switch.
That would be the best reveal. Like, so you saw our tweet with us putting the Diablo lights on and off. Actually, we're launching an expansion with the Switch.
It's called Diablo 3 Lights On.
Nice. Sold.
I think the last bit of news that really, really was exciting this week was the PlayStation Plus lineup.
Oh, man. So good.
I think you are the only person I know who's 100% benefiting from this, because if you didn't see the lineup, it includes your standard PS3, PS Vita games. Like, you've got the really disappointing Mighty Number 9 and stuff like blah, blah, blah. But the two headline games are Bloodborne, which I think is PlayStation 4's best exclusive still, and Ratchet and Clank, which is in the top 3 for me because that remake was just so good. And you don't own either
of them. Oh, look, okay, don't judge me.
You're an advert for people not to buy games
I know,
before they can play
I'm the PS Plus guy who waits. I haven't renewed my subscription for a year plus because it's not, like, don't get me wrong, PS Plus is obviously great. You need it to play online, but you obviously get the free games. I just haven't given my PlayStation love since Final Fantasy 15. Which, honestly, I think I finished that last year, May. So I'm going on like a year now. My PlayStation.
And then you got the Switch love.
And then that's actually true because I got the Switch and
never looked back.
Never looked back. So I haven't played Bloodborne or Ratchet and Clank. So I'm going to renew my PlayStation Plus subscription.
Oh man!
And somehow find time to play. Probably. I think. I don't know. I might start with Ratchet and Clank because a part of me thinks that Bloodborne might be too similar-ish to Witcher in the terms of hard handles. It's that sort of game where it's a fighter, there's dodging, that sort of thing.
Also the tone, the kind of feeling.
So it's more samey, inverted commas. So I might start with something lighter like Ratchet and Clank. But point is, I haven't played either. So it's nice that those are like amazing headline titles. Ratchet and Clank works perfectly for me.
Ratchet and Clank I played that when it launched. It was during like the week of my birthday, and it was just so good. It was like, don't watch the film. The film is garbage. No. The film is terrible, and it made me really depressed because I got tickets for free to go see it on my birthday. I was like, damn, I'm really loving this game. Now I get to watch this movie. And I walked out of the cinema. I was like, man, that sucked. Like, that was just so terrible. But the game is just really good. It's really fun and whimsical, and it's got great guns.
The game looks like a movie. Those visuals.
It's so beautiful. It's like a Pixar movie in motion. It is beautiful, beautiful. Unreal. And then Bloodborne. Bloodborne is the reason I bought my PS4.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
interesting.
I dabbled in Dark Souls games before, never really had one grab me, and they always just frustrated me. Even though I understood, like, I always respected Dark Souls because I knew what it was doing. I knew it was tough for a reason and stuff, but I could never click with it or understand what it did. Bloodborne was the opposite. So I bought it on a complete risk. I was like, might as well get it because I'm going to get a PS4 and it comes with Bloodborne. Cool.
Done.
And I played it for a while. I really got into it because it's faster. It's more aggressive, less passive than Dark Souls, where you constantly rolling things with the shield. Yeah, I mean, you're rolling in this, but you feel like you are attacking these things. And I bounced off of it pretty quickly because I got to a boss early on called the Bloodstarved Beast that was, and it's a traditionally known like hard point in the game which is just really difficult. Like, it is a really hard boss in the beginning of the game which you are not prepared for.
Okay.
and I struggled. I couldn't get past him, and I stopped playing the game for months. And eventually one day I woke up and I was just like, man, I really feel like playing Bloodborne again. And I got into the game, I passed that boss, and I just shot through the whole thing in like a week. And I was like,
it was after months of bench pressing. And
yeah,
stuff.
you know, I had to
you
get
went
real
back
good.
stronger.
Had to get real good. But that game is special. It is full of secrets. I've been meaning to go back to it because there's a whole castle, a whole area in the game that I haven't touched because I didn't do things in a specific order. So I locked myself out of it. But it is a grueling game that is fair and fast and the best PS4 game. I would not recommend it for everyone, but it's my favorite game on PS4.
Well, here's my context. So there's a colleague at my work. His name's John Michael, and since he started at a company, he's a self-professed Gwent addict.
Oh yes, you were telling me about
loves Gwent. Like he'll tell me about Gwent patches, even though it means absolutely nothing to me. He's like, I don't care. I'm going to tell you that this card's coming out, and this is what the art looks like. I'm like, cool, whatever.
You're like, this is what people thought of when I played Hearthstone.
I know. I'm like, well, now I understand why they roll their ass. But his the two games he talks about the most because of Gwent. Obviously, he mentions The Witcher. So when I told him I was playing The Witcher, he was obviously very happy. Like, oh my god, like finally you're gonna understand why I've been like so like hyped about this game, telling you to get it, whatever. But his second game is Bloodborne, and same thing. He's always been like, Bloodborne's just so good, best PS4 game.
Yeah.
So when he saw that it was on PS Plus this month, and I told him like, cool, now I have a legit reason. Well, not a legit reason, but I have an excuse. Like I have no excuse
to miss.
Miss Bloodborne. It's just the way he was this week. He was so hyped. He's like, I'm going to go home and play Bloodborne myself as well, and we're going to fight bosses together and shit. I'm like, okay, so this game must be really good because I mean, just seeing the energy he got from like seeing someone else like about to experience the game for the first time, I'm like, okay, so it must be special.
That's what I feel like. I saw the PS Plus lineup. I'm like, damn, well, I own both of these games, but I'm so excited for people to play these games.
You can come help me fight bosses.
Oh man, Bloodborne's so good. Like, and if you really like it, the DLC, which is called The Old Hunters, is exceptional. It's so good. I cannot wait to see what From Software is doing because they teased something at the Video Game Awards. I would I would so be happy. I know a lot of people are like, leave it as a singular thing because it is singular. I'm like, I will die if Bloodborne 2 comes out. Like, I'm so excited for something like that. But I'm also keen if it's something completely new. So.
Well, they proved that. I mean, they moved from Dark Souls to Bloodborne, and
I mean, amazing. Even though it was kind of similar, they managed to iterate on Dark Souls to attract people like me who had really not vibed with Dark Souls at all. And like, I finished Bloodborne, and I was like, I understand these games, so I went back to try and play Dark Souls 1, and I just couldn't. Like, I couldn't. For you. Yeah, so I don't know. I bought Dark Souls 3 because a lot of people say that Bloodborne's kind of DNA spilled into Dark Souls 3 after it was released, so I might get in on that a bit better. But yeah, I'm keen to see everyone's thoughts on Bloodborne for the first time and see a lot of people complaining about bosses like Vicar Amelia again and Orphan of Kos, which is in DLC, because those are just vast as bosses. My god. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they also used these two great games to mask the fact that PS Plus is changing big time next year. It's only going to be 2 PS4 games. They are, from March 2019, they're wiping the slate with PS3 games are gone, Vita games are gone. They're also not replacing it with like maybe a singular PSVR game, which I found very strange.
I also found it a bit
strange. Yeah, I thought, cool, get rid of the 3 other games you're giving out and give one for this platform that Sony keeps saying they want to support. So the price is not going to change and you're only going to get 2 PS4 games. So hopefully the quality...
It's maybe a bit better?
Yeah, I hope that means the quality is better, because if it isn't, then suddenly things like Games for Gold and Xbox become very appealing, because all the games they release on there, they give you 2 Xbox One games and 2 360 games. The 360 games are always backwards compatible. So you're getting 4 games regardless of, like, every month you're getting 4 games. And like, like this month you're getting Super Hot on Xbox One.
Oh, nice.
And oh no, wait! I thought they announced Crackdown, but they announced Crackdown as backwards compatible. It's not part of Games with Gold. Okay. But like, now it's possible for Crackdown to be included in the coming months. So I don't know. There's a whole year to see what Sony does with that. Who knows? There's speculation that by this time next year, there already might be more hardware. Yeah, and I 100% think we will start hearing murmurs of new hardware this year. We'll hear about it definitely next year. And I don't think we'll see new hardware next year, but 2020 for sure. 100%. I don't think this idea of generations is completely gone, but I think the gaps between like a PS3 and PS4 jump are done. Like you will not see a drastic jump like that anymore. Like if there is a PS5, inverted commas, it will be something slightly more powerful than the PS4 Pro, but it will be a new platform.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
exciting times.
Very exciting times. And as we get closer to E3, this is like the best part of the year because everything leading up to E3 is really exciting. And then like July is just boring. It's all hell because everything's like tapped out.
We're going to have nothing to talk about.
Yeah. then we'll talk about our hair and our running and
all that stuff.
Yeah, all that great stuff. But this has been a really good. Yeah. This has been a much better first episode than we recorded last week.
To be honest, I'm glad that the first one didn't work out because it's given us time to improve things big time. So, yeah.
I was told by a friend at work that he follows a lot of podcasts from Polygon and stuff. And there was a writer there who basically said, if you're starting a podcast, record your first 6 episodes and turf them all out. Because those first 6. Yeah.
God damn.
Those first 6 episodes give you a good time to kind of like, even though we know each other, finding the balance within the podcast itself. And then you don't have to let people hear those teething issues. But I think this has been a marked improvement over the first episode.
We hope so. It goes out to people like, that was shit.
That was shit. And you're saying this is an improvement? Screw this podcast. Yes. But we're also now all set up like completely. There's no real stress on our side. Our podcast is live on Apple Podcasts already. It's up on Anchor. It's up on something called Pocket Casts. Didn't know that existed.
And sorry, during this recording, my brother messaged me because I did ask him to see if it was on Google, and it is on Google.
Oh, is it up? So okay, because just before the recording, I checked for the link, and there was no link. So yeah, okay. So then it's on Google Play, which is awesome.
Wait, let me open the message first because I got a message saying "boom" with the photo.
Oh, okay. Well, you never know. Maybe it's like his new running shoes, or maybe his kid did a backflip or something.
Let us see. Okay, it's there.
Oh, is it there? Okay, yeah. Cool. So confirmed.
Yeah.
So confirmed.
I hope that's Google. He's got an Android phone. It has to be on Google.
By Monday, it should 100% be up. And we will be publishing all future episodes on Mondays at 9 a.m. So you can find it in your podcast feed from then.
Mondays are just boring.
And I assume that if we schedule things, it will go out to all platforms at the same time. I hope Anchor doesn't like start delaying things. But either way, we will.
That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for. We'll communicate if it is different. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this first episode.
Yeah, likewise.
Yes, and we will be recording on Saturday. So please send us your questions on email at checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at checkpointchat. Send us questions there as well. We'll put up a tweet, I think, just before we record. We'll put up polls because Matty loves polls.
I love polls.
Yeah. And you can follow us individually on our Twitters. I'm at Caption Barbosa.
No, I'm just at Matthew Fig. Double T.
Yeah, double T. You can ask us questions there. And like we said in the initial trailer episode, this is a podcast that's, a conversation between two friends, but it's also a conversation between two friends and you. We want to converse with you as a listener. Come talk to us, yes. If you're listening to us on Anchor, you can even leave us voice messages that we can then play during the show. Anchor is fucking cool. Yeah, Anchor's a really cool, really cool platform. So yeah, please interact with us. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you love. Let us know what you don't love. We are learning this as we go, and we're going to have cool new audio equipment within 2 or 3 weeks. So if you think the audio quality is not up to scratch, that is 100% changing. We are just making do with what we have with right now.
Yeah, I think that's it. Good summary.
Summary.
I like it when you start off the show and end the show because I can just twiddle my thumbs like, what am I doing?
But thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us on this really cool journey, this interesting fan project we've been dying to get going. And we will see you next week on the next edition of Checkpoint Chat. Have a great week, guys.
Cheers, guys.